how to clear your limiting beliefs. Today, I got a special one for you, daily rituals. 2 maybe, depends how I'm feeling. Maybe 2, maybe 1, who knows? But in any case, what are limiting beliefs? Put simply, a limiting belief is anything that limits you from doing something to achieve your desired reality, or anything. It doesn't even have to be a desired reality. It could just be anything in which you want, right? And so limiting beliefs, they can come up in many different shapes, sizes, flavors, spices. It doesn't really matter, but it's a limiting belief at the end of the day. Your limiting beliefs, they're nothing but your old paradigm, okay? So put simply, those are what your limiting beliefs are. How did they show up? We'll get into. However, what you first need to realize is every single person has a limiting belief. It doesn't matter where you are, you have a limiting belief. And that's the first thought. What they say is you can't control your first thought, but you very much so can control your second thought. So instead, what you need to think is, what is going to be my second thought? The first thought might be the limiting belief, but your second thought is what will change the momentum. How did they show up in life? Ask yourself right now, I want you to name 3 limiting beliefs you know you have, right? Actually, I'll go first. These are 3 limiting beliefs I used to have. These 3 right here, right? Whilst I'm doing this, note 3 limiting beliefs that you have right now, okay? So, too shy for camera. Not imposing and so cool. 3 limiting beliefs that definitely used to rule me. Number 1, too shy for camera. Obviously, not a thing now, I'm on camera. Number 2, not imposing enough. And number 3, not on job. In other words, procrastination, something that's got everyone by the balls. You've got your 3 limiting beliefs on your paper, on your notebook, whatever you've got your limiting beliefs on right now. Now you need to think, why do you have these beliefs? Where were they rooted? Where did they start? Where did they come from? Because you weren't born like that, I wasn't born like that. At the end of the day, you need to realize they're conditioned. These are conditioned beliefs. For example, too shy for camera. When I was a young'un, when I was a little boy, knee high length, I was the most rambunctious kid. I used to do anything. You can ask anyone. Anyone who knows me from young knows that I was just, some would say head loss. It's up for debate. But some would say head loss. Then, as I started growing up, you hear certain narratives about yourself, right? And then you get to a certain point and you become comfortable in your shell, okay? And what that is a limiting of expression. And what people seem to get to, they reach a certain age, and this is why you get to depression. Depression is the opposite of expression. When you're not living in according to what you really want, you find that you end up in depression. In my first video, I said that I'll probably get into depression. I'll get into it a bit more later. But at the core of our nature, all we want to do is be expressive to our true selves, okay? And so when you have these types of things imposed on you, the limiting beliefs that you've got on your paper, you'll then come to find out you're not acting in your intrinsic, authentic, expressive self, and therefore you're unhappy. Good news is, as I said, it's very simple to change. The hard part is the maintenance, but extremely simple, and you can change it today, right now, this very second. This is what we're about to do. Let's get into it. So, what I want you to do now is draw 2 circles, just like I'm about to do. Draw 2 circles. Got one, I can't lie, that's a objective circle. Don't sweat the small stuff. No one ever does. So you've got 2 circles here, right? So now what I want you to do, in the first circle, I want you to write every current limiting belief that you have right now. And the key is to be honest, because if you're not going to be honest with yourself, the world, the universe, God will be honest with you. However, if you're not going to be honest with yourself, you'll be honest with you regardless, and you'll wonder why you're ending up with the same things. Said it in the first video, I'll say it again. Be honest with yourself, because no one else is going to be as honest with yourself as you. So now, in the first circle, write every single limiting belief. It could be whatever it is. Just take time, pause the video if you have to, write down every single limiting belief in this circle that you have at this very second. Okay? Then, what I want you to do, in this second circle, write down every single character trait and personality trait that the you in your desired reality has, right? So for example, in this one, you might put procrastination. You might put is scared of public scrutiny. You might put whatever your limiting belief is. In this one, you might put wakes up on time. You might put works out in the mornings, listens to himself. Whatever it is, listens to herself. It doesn't really matter what it is. Whatever your desired reality is, think about it. Picture the image in your mind and write down the character traits, right? Cool. Hopefully you've all got that down. What you need to realize, number one, this you here is not the same person as this you here, right? So essentially, you've gotten to this point right now because of these traits, and there's positive traits rooted in these types of things that have gotten you to this point, but they're not going to get you there. They definitely won't get you there. And to get you to that point, you need to start embodying the you that's in circle number 2. And the reason for that is the universe gives you what you are, not what you think you are. You've heard it everywhere, you've heard it echoed, you heard it in the first video. And there's a reason that you hear it all the time, because it's a true fact of life. It's a law of nature. As it says in, I can't even remember what Bible verse it is now. Seek the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, and all will be given unto you. Essentially all it was saying really is, once you've pictured the kingdom of God inside of you, remember the kingdom of God is not outside of man, the kingdom of God is within you. So once you've pictured the kingdom in which you want and you maintain the image, all that which you want will be given unto you. You need to transmute all of this into this one. So now that you've got all of that down, it's very simple. You just have to behave like this guy. Just behave like him. If he's gonna wake up in the morning on 8 in the morning, then wake up at 8 in the morning. And you don't have to do these big jumps. It could be small jumps at small times. So for example, if you know you've told yourself you're gonna make oats in the morning and you're in bed thinking, I should really make oats right now, you're procrastinating. But the second you decide, boom, let me jump out of bed, and you've made your oats, you've then proven to yourself with confidence, because remember, confidence is repeated actions. Repeated actions prove confidence within yourself, right? That you're this person. I want you to think of this. Manifestation is not some magical joke or trump card, okay? When you're, I don't know, you're thirsty, you've just finished running, playing football or something, or you've come back in from playing, right? You really are thirsty. In your head, you've pictured a glass of water. It's so second nature to you, you don't have to picture the steps, but you've walked into the kitchen, you've turned on the tap. This is before you've even done it. You've turned on the tap, and then you've gotten the water. Then you actually go and carry out the motion. You walk into the kitchen, you turn on the tap, pour the water in your glass, boom. You are no longer parched. Happy days. Whoop. Guess what? You got a W. Lovely jubbly. Everyone's happy. You manifested a glass of water because you acted on 3 planes of existence. That's essentially what you've done. Spiritual plane, you thought of it. Mind, body, soul, you see it all the time. In the spiritual plane, you thought of it, you acted it out, and then you got it. be, do, have. You became that version of you that got the water, you done the actions, and then you had it. Same thing with desired reality. It's just second nature. You built confidence in knowing that tap was going to turn on with a glass of water, that's all. Simple as. But just know, the maintenance is the only quote unquote hard part. But if you can't do the big jumps, get small victories every day. If you need to tally them, get a small game going on. If you do whatever you need to do to get small victories, because the small victories, they compound into big victories. And eventually you'll get a big victory so big, you wonder how you did it. Serendipity of life, ladies and gentlemen. So what I've done is I was the vessel for a great framework, all right? Little story, I was just in my room and I was like, what can I do for myself to get myself more accountable? I really want to bubble up my limiting beliefs and help myself. It's something that's helped me, so why not give it to everyone else? Pay it forward, gratitude, high vibrations, whatever they say, yada, yada, right. So what I've come up with is what's called the auto framework, right? Auto, flow state, auto, kind of rings in a sense, But auto framework, you can see it's an anagram. What does it mean? So this is what you're going to do to route your limiting beliefs. And I've got in the description of this video is a free worksheet. You can use it when you want, use it how you want, use it when you will, but most importantly, use it honestly. But you have to, at first, so the same way you've got the limiting beliefs in that circle that you got in your books, in circle number 1 from before, you can then input this directly into the framework worksheet. You first acknowledge the limiting belief, okay? Because what you need to understand is that by acknowledging it, it brings it up to the surface. That's number 1. So you acknowledge it. I don't even know if you guys can see it. Do I need to switch sides? Who knows? Let's try it from this side now. Maybe you can see it better. So you need to acknowledge the belief, okay? And what that does, bring it to the surface, allows you to know what it is that you have to fight. Imagine you're in a video game and you don't know who you're fighting or the enemy is invisible. You haven't acknowledged it, but you're just taking hits, boom. All of a sudden you're on 0 HP and it's game over and you're crying because you lost the game. This is why it's important to acknowledge it. You can't ignore it because it will rule you from the sidelines or rule you from your subconscious. Acknowledge the belief first. You need to understand why you have the limiting belief, understand where the limiting belief comes from, understand how it shows up, understand how it affects you in your life, okay? Once you understand why you have these things, they're no longer illogical and it makes it logical, and then you can then go on to the next step. So the understanding part is more so on the therapeutic level. However, it's also done so just so you can transmute it, which is number 3. See, I jumped the gun. T. Don't watch that, spell it wrong. Did I spell it wrong? The past is the past, it doesn't exist. Transmutation. Transmute it. How are you going to change the beliefs in circle number 1 into the beliefs in circle number 2? You transmute it, okay? How do you do this? It's very easy. You declare yourself as what you are in number 2. So for example, if you're someone who procrastinates, you now tell yourself, I no longer procrastinate. Or you don't even focus on the procrastination aspect of it. Because what you need to realize is that everything in this realm exists on a polarity. So with the existence of procrastination on the other end of the spectrum, on the same line, so imagine it's one line. This is one line, right? Procrastination exists in this end. The moment procrastination exists, the opposite exists. Yeah? And obviously the opposite of procrastination being you're on it. You're on job, you do shit. You do what you're meant to do. Right? So this exists. So the potentiality for you to be that is just as evident and just as possible as how you're procrastinating right now. So long as you hold the image of you who's on job and who does shit when you say, you'll do it. Transmute yourself. When you wake up in the morning, visualize. When you go to bed, before you go to bed, visualize. The reason you visualize before you go to bed is the same reason people pray before they go to bed. Because your mind goes into theta, meaning that what you intake is more susceptible to sink down into your subconscious mind. Okay? So, in that sense, you transmute it. Before you go to bed, you've got the framework. Declare all that you are in a second, and the key isn't just to say it, you feel it with emotion. Okay? You have to feel it with emotion. That's the fuel behind the whole thing. The thought is the car. Okay? You have the vehicle. The thought is the car. You need to now put in the fuel, which is your emotion. And then the maintenance will be you stepping on the gas. Okay? When you step on the pedal, that is you maintaining. Once you let off the gas, it'll roll for a bit. The car's still rolling, but eventually it will come to a stop, in which you need to then press on the pedal again. Hence why we need to maintain. People who drive say that they're tired of stepping on the pedal, and that's why they switch to automatic or to the clutch on manual. I didn't say it. Anyways, that's T, transmutation. And then last but not least, O. Outcome. Once all these three are done and it's maintained, that's inevitable. The outcome is a side effect of these. People go for the outcome not realizing the outcome is the byproduct. If you want an apple, you plant an apple seed. It grows an apple tree and the apple falls from the tree. Okay? There's a something that's sown. These are your seeds. What are you sowing into your head? Those are the seeds in which you need to worry about what you're planting into your subconscious. What are you planting into your subconscious? What fruits are you bearing in your life? Reality will show you what you are, as I said already. And so if you're finding certain patterns are repeating, you need to be honest with yourself and you need to basically go back into the drawing board, go back into your notebook and see what it is. What are you planting in your life? If you're finding that you're seeing a lot of success, there's a reason for that. And well done to you. But every single one of you sees success. This is another different, there's a nuance in it. Every single one of you sees success, just not in what you want to see success in. A lot of you want abundance. You just don't have abundance in what you want abundance in. A lot of you have an abundance of lack. A lot of you are successful in procrastinating. So was I. Very successful in procrastination, and therefore I was very abundant in lack. Switch the paradigm. Be successful in what you want, and you'll be very abundant in what you want. Be, do, have. Act on 3 planes of existence. You get all of this. So, as I said, in the description below, there's a free worksheet. Work on it. Work on yourself. Because if you don't, who will? Any of you who've played Dragon Ball Z, you know where that line comes from. If I don't, who will?